Oklahoma City, hit 109.4 degrees on Tuesday. 109.4 degrees. And that number did not just break a record, it absolutely shattered a record that had been standing since 1918. A record that survived 2 world wars, the Dust Bowl, the 1,980 heat wave, every brutal summer this country has ever thrown at Oklahoma. 108 years of recorded weather history gone in a single August afternoon. And while that was happening in Oklahoma, Death Valley was touching 118 degrees. Las Vegas was sitting at 110 degrees, and 60 million Americans were waking up this morning under some form of extreme heat alert, with a severe storm system loaded with 75-mile-per-hour winds, also moving in a haboob, a massive dust wall threatening to swallow entire highways in Arizona tonight. This is not one weather emergency, this is 3 of them happening at the exact same time. And what makes all of this even more alarming is something that most news stations are not talking about loudly enough. This is the 3rd heat dome to hit the central and southern United States this summer alone. The 3rd one, and the power grid serving 17 states right now is operating under a federal emergency order specifically to prevent rolling blackouts. So let us sit down and go through every single piece of this region by region, threat by threat, because every part of this country is feeling something today, and you need to know exactly what is coming. Let us start in the desert Southwest, because that is where the numbers are the most extreme and where the danger is most immediate. The National Weather Service has issued an extreme heat warning stretching across southwest Arizona and southeast California, and I want to be very clear about what that phrase extreme heat warning actually means. It is not just hot outside, it is the kind of hot that kills people who do not take it seriously. The lower Colorado River Valley and Death Valley are expected to hit 115 to 118 degrees Fahrenheit this afternoon. Those are not temperatures that feel uncomfortable. Those are temperatures that can kill an adult in open sun within an hour if they are not hydrated and sheltered. The Yuma area and El Centro, California are looking at 106 to 114 degrees. Las Vegas is sitting at 107 to 110 degrees, and that warning runs all the way through Friday evening. So this is not a one-day story for Nevada. This is a multi-day, life-threatening situation. But here is the part of this heat story that most people do not fully understand, and it is actually the most dangerous aspect of what is happening. The overnight temperatures. In Phoenix and the surrounding communities, overnight lows tonight are forecast near 90 degrees F. The National Weather Service office is forecasting 108 to 111 degrees for central Phoenix and the East Valley this afternoon. That covers Scottsdale, Tempe, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, and Glendale. Millions of people, but when night falls, it is not dropping to 75. It is not dropping to 80. It is staying near 90. And here is why that matters so much. Your body needs nighttime to recover from heat stress. When you're exposed to extreme heat all day, your core body temperature rises. Your organs work harder, your heart pumps faster, your kidneys strain to keep up. Nighttime is when your body is supposed to cool down and recover. When it stays 85 or 90 degrees at 3:00 in the morning, that recovery does not happen. Day after day of that, the body begins to break down. That is what makes multi-day heat events so deadly, especially for elderly residents, young children, people with diabetes, heart conditions, or kidney disease. If you are in the Phoenix metro right now and you do not have air conditioning or your power goes out, you need to get to a cooling center immediately. In Maricopa County, call 211 to find the nearest free cooling center that can provide you with water, air conditioning, and transportation assistance. And for anyone in the Grand Canyon area, hikers, tourists, anyone thinking about going into that canyon today or tomorrow, please listen to this carefully. An extreme heat warning is in effect below 40 feet elevation through Thursday evening at the Grand Canyon. At Phantom Ranch, deep inside the canyon where thousands of visitors hike every year, temperatures are expected between 107 and 111 degrees Fahrenheit. The National Weather Service Flagstaff Office is specifically warning day hikers on Bright Angel Trail to not descend more than 1.5 miles from the rim, between 1000 in the morning and 400 in the afternoon. Hikers should be out of the canyon entirely. This is not a suggestion. This is not being overly cautious. People die in that canyon every year from heat, and today is not the day to push your limits. There are no rescue helicopters that can safely fly in a 118 degrees canyon air without serious risk. The canyon keeps its temperature even better than the open desert. You go in feeling okay, and within an hour you're in serious trouble. Stay up top today, please. Now, there's another threat in Arizona tonight that is genuinely terrifying, and most people have never experienced it. A haboob. The National Weather Service Tucson office is warning of potential haboob formation tonight. Blowing dust advisories are already in effect across multiple parts of Arizona. The Gila Bend area, Northwest, Pinal County, the Tonopah Desert, Buckeye, and South Mountain have a dust advisory from 5:00 p.m. to 10:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time tonight. Down in the Tucson Metro, Marana, Vail, and Green Valley have a separate blowing dust advisory running from 3:00 p.m. to 10:00 p.m. Strong thunderstorm outflow winds of 45 to 55 miles per hour could kick up massive walls of dust moving northwest across the region. A haboob can be a wall of dust that reaches 30 feet high, moving at 30 to 40 miles per hour. Visibility drops to 0 in seconds. If you are driving on Interstate 10, Interstate 19, or any highway in southern Arizona tonight, and you encounter blowing dust pull completely off the pavement, not to the shoulder, off the pavement entirely, put it in park, set your emergency brake, turn off all your lights including your hazard flashers, and keep your foot off the brake pedal so the car behind you cannot see your lights and slam into you. Stay in your vehicle with your seatbelt on. The saying in Arizona is, pull aside, stay alive. Never try to drive through a dust storm. People have died on Arizona interstates as exactly that. Moving over to Nevada and Southern California, the extreme heat warning for Las Vegas runs through Friday evening at 8:00 p.m. Pacific Time. Lake Havasu City, Needles, Bullhead City, and 29 Palms are all looking at 107 degrees to 115 degrees heat today. Southern California is not off the hook. A heat advisory is in effect through Thursday evening for San Bernardino and Riverside counties, the Inland Empire Fontana, Rancho Cucamonga, Ontario, and San Bernardino City, with temperatures up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit Wednesday and Thursday. The Los Angeles and Oxnard NWS office has a heat advisory for the Santa Clarita Valley, San Fernando Valley, the San Gabriel Mountains Corridor, and the Santa Ynez Range, with 95 degrees to 105 degrees through Thursday. Limit outdoor activity to early morning hours only. If you must be outside, get it done before 9:00 a.m. and be back inside before the heat really builds. Now, I need to talk about something that is the story behind the story in this entire weather event: the power grid. Because what is happening with the American power grid right now is something that directly affects tens of millions of people in states you might not even associate with this heat wave. The Southwest Power Pool is the grid operator serving 17 states and roughly 20 million Americans in the central United States. On July 26th of this year, the U.S. Department of Energy issued an emergency order under Section 202C of the Federal Power Act directed at the Southwest Power Pool. That order is still in effect and has been extended. What this order does is authorize the Southwest Power Pool to dispatch backup generation units in idle power plants that are normally offline to begin producing electricity if demand outpaces available supply. And here is why this matters so much. That authorization is the final step before a Level 3 energy emergency alert. And a Level 3 energy emergency alert is the stage where rolling blackouts begin. We are one step away from that threshold. That is why the U.S. Department of Energy had to issue this emergency order, because record electricity demand from this heat wave, combined with wind generation running below expectations and several power plants experiencing outages, pushed the grid to the very edge of what it can handle. Utilities like OG&E in Oklahoma are actively asking customers right now to shift energy use away from peak hours of 2:00 p.m. to 7:00 p.m., set your thermostat to 78 degrees during peak hours, run your laundry in the morning, or after 8:00 p.m., use ceiling fans instead of cranking the AC to 68. These are not just friendly suggestions. This is a community emergency. The states covered by this grid emergency include Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa, Louisiana, and Texas. If your power goes out during this heat, do not wait to see if it comes back on. Get to a cooling center. Heat stroke can kill within minutes. Let us shift to the southern plains now because the heat emergency does not stop at the Arizona border. An extreme heat warning is in effect right now for central and northern Oklahoma, including Oklahoma City. And as I mentioned, Oklahoma City already hit 109.4 degrees on Tuesday, smashing a daily record that had stood since 1918 by 5 full degrees. Oklahoma City has already seen 21 days this summer with high temperatures in the 100s. To put that in historical context, the all-time record for Oklahoma City is 63 days of triple-digit heat in a single summer set in 2011. This summer is marching toward that number. Today, heat index values, combining actual temperature and humidity, are expected to reach 110 degrees for central and northern Oklahoma. The warning runs from 11:00 a.m. to 8:00 p.m. Central Time. If you are in Moore, Norman, Edmond, Stillwater, Enid, or Lawton, stay inside during peak heat hours today. This is not a suggestion. It is an instruction for meteorologists who are watching this unfold in real time. Moving into eastern Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas, the National Weather Service Tulsa office has an extreme heat warning covering Tulsa, Fort Smith, Muskogee, McAlester, and Tahlequah with heat index values up to 113 degrees F. 113 degrees feels like temperature in Oklahoma and Arkansas in August. For central and eastern Arkansas, Little Rock North, Little Rock Conway, Jonesboro, and Pine Bluff are all under extreme heat warnings with heat index values near or over 110 degrees from 1100 a.m. to 8:00 p.m. Central Time today, and the National Weather Service Shreveport office has extended their heat advisory all the way through Thursday evening, covering portions of southwest Arkansas, northwest Louisiana, southeast Oklahoma, and east Texas. The heat is not breaking tomorrow. It is continuing. For North Texas and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, an extreme heat warning covers the entire DFW region today. The National Weather Service, Fort Worth, is warning of actual air temperatures, not feels like actual thermometer temperatures, reaching 108 degrees F this afternoon. That covers Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, Plano, Frisco, McKinney, Denton, Louisville, and dozens of surrounding communities across one of the most populated metro areas in the entire United States. If you are driving on I-35, I-20, I-30, or the Dallas North Tollway today, have water in your car. Always. A broken down vehicle on a Texas highway in 108 degrees heat can become a life-threatening emergency within 30 minutes. Extreme heat is already the deadliest form of weather in the United States, killing more people on average every year than hurricanes and tornadoes combined. Let that sink in. More than hurricanes, more than tornadoes. Heat. And today it feels like the entire country is inside a furnace. Down in the Gulf, southern Louisiana, including New Orleans and Baton Rouge and southern Mississippi, have heat advisories in effect with heat index values up to 110 degrees through 8:00 p.m. Central Time tonight. And the entire state of Florida is essentially dealing with dangerous heat from the Panhandle all the way down to the Keys. The National Weather Service Jacksonville office has a heat advisory for northeast and north central Florida with heat index values up to 112 degrees. Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Sarasota, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and Lakeland are all under heat advisory with heat index values up to 112. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, Naples, and the entire Florida Keys corridor have a heat advisory from 1100 a.m. to 7:00 p.m. today with heat index 105 to 112. Orlando. Daytona Beach and Vero Beach in Central Florida are looking at heat index 108 to 112 degrees. The Carolinas and Georgia coast are also under heat advisories today. Coastal Georgia, including Savannah, coastal South Carolina, including Charleston, and coastal North Carolina, including Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, and the Outer Banks, are all looking at heat index values of 109 to 111 degrees. This heat dome is enormous. It covers essentially the entire country, from the desert southwest to the Atlantic coast, and I want to say something directly right now that genuinely shocked me when I learned it. Extreme heat is not classified under the Stafford Act as a federal disaster. That law governs how the federal government responds to natural disasters, but heat is not on that list. That means governors cannot request the same federal disaster relief for a heat wave that they can for a hurricane or a flood or a tornado. The response falls to cities and counties, often improvised, funded out of local budgets summer after summer, year after year. Even as this is the third heat dome of 2026, even as 60 million Americans are under heat alerts today, even as that number was 80 million during the July dome, even as the CDC reported that in 2024 alone, 4 Americans died from heat-related causes, the second highest annual total since tracking began. Even as this summer has already confirmed at least 70 heat-related deaths in the July domes alone, according to Washington Post analysis, with experts calling that a dramatic undercount because of the slow way heat deaths get reported and investigated. Now let us pivot to what is actually the most dynamically dangerous weather story of today. Because while the heat is deadly and widespread, the severe thunderstorm set up across the Central Plains tonight is absolutely explosive. The National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, has issued a slight risk that is level 2 out of 5 for severe storms. And I want to be very direct about something. That word slight sounds minor. It is not. The atmospheric ingredients in place tonight are anything but slight. Here's what is set up. A shortwave trough, which is essentially a ripple of energy moving through the upper atmosphere, is sitting over western Kansas right now, moving east. At the surface, an incredibly moist air mass is in place from the mid-Mississippi Valley westward into the Central Plains. Surface dew points, which measure the moisture content of the air at ground level, are sitting at 68 degrees to 72 degrees Fahrenheit across the region. 72 degrees dew points. That is tropical level moisture. That is the kind of humidity you expect in the Amazon rainforest, sitting right in the heart of the Great Plains. And here's the number that has meteorologists genuinely alarmed today. The CAPE values over northern Kansas. CAPE stands for Convective Available Potential Energy, and it is essentially the fuel tank for thunderstorms. The Storm Prediction Center's official Day 1 Outlook cites CAPE values of 1,500 to 2,500 J per kilogram along the Salina to Kansas City corridor. For context, ordinary strong summer thunderstorms typically operate with CAPE values of 500 to 1,500 J per kilogram. At 2,500 J per kilogram, you are in extreme thunderstorm territory. Any storm that fires in this environment tonight will be capable of significant and dangerous impacts very quickly. There's also a well-defined outflow boundary sitting across central Kansas, acting as an extra focal point for storm initiation. Isolated severe thunderstorms are already ongoing near that boundary right now. The primary severe threat corridor tonight runs from northeast Kansas down into west central Missouri. That puts Kansas City, both the Missouri side and the Kansas side, directly in the zone of concern tonight. Topeka, Lawrence, Ottawa, and the eastern Kansas communities along the I-70 corridor all need to be weather aware this evening. For Missouri, Jefferson City, Columbia, Sedalia, and the western edge of the St. Louis metro could also see impacts. Severe Thunderstorm Watch number 598 is currently in effect until 4:00 a.m. Central Time Wednesday morning. This watch covers 14 Kansas counties, including Shawnee, Johnson, Wyandotte, Douglas, Leavenworth counties, and 9 Missouri counties, including Jackson County, which contains the heart of Kansas City. If you are in the Kansas City metro area tonight on either side of the state line, have your weather alerts turned on before you go to sleep tonight. Now, let me walk you through the 3 primary threats from tonight's storm system, because you need to know exactly what to watch for. The first and primary concern, according to the Storm Prediction Center, is damaging wind gusts. The SPC's Day 1 Convective Outlook specifically warns of wind gusts above 75 miles per hour along any intense organized line segment. That is strong enough to topple mature trees that have been standing for decades. It is strong enough to blow out power lines. It is strong enough to overturn small vehicles and turn loose objects in your yard into projectiles. The greatest wind threat comes if and when individual storm cells organize into what meteorologists call a quasi-linear convective system. When that kind of organization happens, wind damage can become widespread across a very large area in a very short amount of time. The second threat is large hail. The atmospheric setup tonight supports significant hail production. Deep layer wind shear and steep lapse rates give hailstones time to grow large before falling. Early in the evening, while individual storm cells are still discrete before they potentially merge into a line hail, will be the primary concern. If you are in the watch area, get your vehicles into a garage before dark, if at all possible. Hail damage to cars can easily run into thousands of dollars in a single storm. The third threat, and arguably the most widespread and insidious danger of tonight's event, is flash flooding. The Weather Prediction Center has issued a slight risk for excessive rainfall across the Missouri Valley. With those extraordinary 68 degrees to 72 degrees dew points in place, rainfall rates from these storms will be very high. Widespread rain totals of 2 to 3 in are expected across the region, with locally higher amounts possible where storms train over the same areas. Training means multiple thunderstorm cells following the exact same path and dumping rain over the same location over and over again. When that happens, you can get 4, 5, even 6 or more inches of rain in just a few hours, and flash flooding becomes severe and rapidly dangerous. Because much of this rainfall is expected to occur overnight and into Wednesday morning's commute, the timing is particularly critical. If you commute on I-70, I-435, I-35, or I-470 in the Kansas City area, plan significantly extra time Wednesday morning. Road closures on major interstates are a real possibility. Missouri Department of Transportation operates a real-time flood information map you can access online, and you can call 1-888-275-6636 for road condition updates. Across the broader Midwest and Great Lakes region, this is also an active severe weather day. Northwestern Iowa has discrete supercell-style thunderstorm cells that have been maintaining their structure, and as those cells move southeast into north-central Iowa, isolated large hail and severe wind gusts will be possible. Des Moines, Ames, and the I-35 corridor through central Iowa need to keep an eye on radar this evening. Storms have organized into a line segment across southern Wisconsin near Milwaukee, Kenosha, and the Racine area, and that line carries an isolated wind damage threat over the next several hours. Lower Michigan, including the Detroit Metro, Flint, Lansing, and Grand Rapids, has a marginal severe weather threat this evening. Chicago, you are in the marginal risk area today with storms possible, primarily along and south of the Metro. Looking ahead at Thursday, August 20th, The storm threat shifts east and south, and this could actually be the most significant day of this entire multi-day outbreak. The Weather Prediction Center has issued a slight risk for excessive rainfall Thursday, and the Storm Prediction Center has matched that with a slight risk for severe thunderstorms across the mid-Mississippi Valley. The flash flooding threat increases significantly Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, particularly from southern Iowa and northern Missouri across northern Illinois, including the Chicago metro area and into southern Wisconsin. Repeated rounds of heavy rain will fall on ground that will already be saturated from tonight's storms. Saturated ground cannot absorb additional rainfall, so even moderate amounts can cause rapid and dangerous flooding. Urban flooding in Chicago and Des Moines is a significant concern for Thursday morning. Plan your commute accordingly. Consider working from home if that is possible for you on Thursday. On the heat side, Thursday brings absolutely no relief across the southwest, southern plains, or deep south. The upper-level ridge, that dome of high pressure that is essentially a lid trapping all this heat in place, remains anchored over the Four Corners region. The extreme heat warning for much of the desert southwest continues through Friday evening. Oklahoma's streak of triple-digit days is expected to continue uninterrupted through at least Sunday with no meaningful relief in sight. This is a prolonged multi-day dangerous heat event, and it is not breaking quickly. By Friday, August 21st, a cold front begins to accelerate south, bringing some storm chances to the mid-south and mid-Atlantic. But I want to be very clear about what relief means in August in the American South. Some relief still means heat indices in the upper 90s to low 100s. That is still hot enough to be dangerous for vulnerable people. That is still hot enough to be fatal if proper precautions are not taken. Do not let the word relief lull you into thinking it is going to feel comfortable outside on Friday. Looking at the weekend of August 22nd and 23rd, that upper-level high over the Four Corners region slowly expands northward into the Intermountain West and shifts eastward toward the high plains. No significant heat break is coming across a large swath of the country from the southwest through the south-central plains and lower Mississippi Valley. The multi-day severe storm threat along the slow-moving cold front continues through the end of this week. This is a developing multi-day weather situation, and it is not over quickly. I want to leave you with the safety information that matters most right now, because knowing the facts only helps if you act on them. If you are in a severe storm area tonight, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, or Wisconsin, make sure you have multiple ways to receive warnings before you go to sleep. A weather app on your phone with notifications turned on, a NOAA weather radio, awareness of the outdoor sirens in your area. Have at least 2 of these working and ready. If a tornado warning is issued in your area tonight, even though the primary threats today are wind, hail, and flooding, go to your lowest interior room immediately away from all windows. Basement, if you have one. A bathroom or closet on the ground floor if you do not. Do not wait to see how serious it looks outside. By the time you can see a tornado in the dark, it may already be too late. If you are in any of the heat warning areas, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Arizona, or anywhere else under extreme heat alerts today, know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Heat exhaustion, you're still sweating, feeling dizzy, weak, and maybe nauseous. Get inside immediately, drink water, cool down. Heat stroke is different, and it is a medical emergency. Skin becomes hot, red, and dry. No sweating, confusion, slurred speech, or loss of consciousness. Call 911 right now. Do not wait to see if the person improves. Heat stroke can cause permanent organ damage within minutes and can kill within an hour if untreated. Time matters enormously with heat stroke. Check on your elderly neighbors today. Call your family members who live alone. Find out if the people around you have air conditioning and if they do not help them get to a cooling center. Extreme heat does not make headlines the way a tornado or a hurricane does. They're dramatic images of a heat wave. But the death toll from heat this summer is already higher than most tornado seasons, higher than most hurricane seasons, and it is still going up. What is happening to this country right now is a genuine emergency, and it deserves to be treated like one. Stay safe. Take care of each other out there. This is a dangerous week for weather across the entire United States, and your awareness right now might be the most important thing keeping you and the people you love alive through it.